You guys are so lucky Becky's here. Betsy.
You just want to
Betsy.
rename me Becky. I know.
Becky.
If Betsy wasn't here, we wouldn't have started. We would have been just still chatting away.
Well, we were having a fun.
We were getting
We
caught up.
were talking about schools, when they start, when they stop. Happy Victoria Day weekend here in Canada. I am wearing the red WikiTree Enjoy Genealogy shirt because today's question of the week is, do you have Canadian roots? Now, if I could get the right thing going here. Woo. I'm not firing on all cylinders this morning, I don't think. Don't laugh at that, Greg.
No, I'm just thinking.
What?
Well, I was just, you're saying it's the Victoria Day holiday here in Canada, which often people call the May 2-4 weekend because of May 24th.
And there's also a 2-4 you can buy at the beer store.
Yes, but the funny thing is, like the last 5 years or maybe even longer, if you went camping, this is a dry weekend in all the parks. Because there was so much rowdiness going on, at least on the Ontario provincial parks, that they've banned drinking in the parks this weekend. So the irony of being the May 2-4 weekend, but you can't bring a 2-4 into the park officially.
Right. Yeah, one of my kids has rented an Airbnb up in the mountains in Quebec. And so they're there all weekend. He was showing me a video tour of it just a little while ago. Gorgeous, gorgeous cottage up there. Oh, and Sandy Paddock, who's a big hockey fan down in Atlanta. Don't know how that happened. She sings "Oh Canada" at every hockey game. Only because
Sandy.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. So we got lots of people that are here. Sandy's obviously here. Biscuits have already been mentioned. Appalachia hasn't, so I'll mention that right now.
There we go.
Augusta, Georgia. Misty morning from Augusta, Georgia from D. Janine is here. Let's see. Coffee, back to sleep. Okay. Well, you can watch later. Like some other people might be watching us later. Watching the recording. Let's see. I'm here. I said morning, y'all. Let's see. Lynette. D. Judy. Susan Anderson's here. Los Angeles. What are you doing up so early? Really? I'm talking in San Diego this afternoon.
Ooh, wow.
Anybody wants to come? North San Diego DNA SIG. And instead of calling it the SIG, they call it the DIG.
The DIG.
Yeah, it's North San Diego DIG, not the special interest group, but the DNA interest group. It's the DIG.
The NIG?
Yeah. No bodies or bones are being found that I know of. See, Judy Stutz, Blue Sky, Chris Ferriello. Now, Chris and I almost got in a fist fight with some other people over the question of the week. We almost did. And I want to point out that Putin was the Google yesterday. Did you notice that, Greg?
No, I didn't.
It was the Google Doodle.
Oh, how cool.
Hey, Katie Miller,
Very
Donna
cool.
Gribber, Katie Miller.
From
Going
Australia.
down the list. 29 people in here and only 15 are talking. That's okay. We love you anyway. Hey, Brian. Brian's here. John Tyner's here.
Hey, John.
Hey, Lisa. I think I got everybody. Janet Isles. Hello, Janet Isles. Janet Isles gave me the biggest compliment I think I've ever had in my life when she said she watches every Saturday morning. Isn't that fun? But she's nice. Janet, I know the real reason you're here is because of the question of the week. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to see if I've missed anybody. I probably have. Day Mellon the First. Good afternoon, North Wales. Is that possibly Hillary? Day Mellon the First or Day Mel on the First?
Oh.
I don't know who that is. Somebody, we could have a competition to see who could guess it. What's your cup look like today, Betsy?
Oh, well, today I am drinking.
Oh, Canada,
Yes.
our home and native land.
And,
Yeah,
and I too have Canadian roots.
how do you have Canadian roots?
Very
All
proud to say.
right.
My grandfather and my great grandmother were born there. My family sort of did a pit stop in Canada. They went from New York, from Madison County, New York, and my second great grandfather moved the family to Niagara Falls. And the family was mostly grown, but my great grandmother was their youngest child, and she was born in Ontario.
That's
And
interesting.
Nice.
yeah,
You know, a lot of people did that. Before the trains got really big, it was easier to migrate through Canada than it was to go down and around all the lakes over to Chicago and Detroit. So that was a main migration route for people from the U.S. for a long time before the trains came. And then there was the whole river stuff. River and the, people going down the St. Lawrence Seaway and doing like portaging through.
Right.
Steamers on the Great Lakes. Stanley Fulford was born in Brockville, Ontario, immigrated to the U.S. through New York. There you go. Look at this. We've got some people. That's my grandpa, she says. I got to put that up. And then look at this. John Tyner.
Oh,
Died in Wellington. Oh, no.
Wellington.
Yeah.
1878.
Huh. We haven't even gotten that. Oh, it's Gwyneth Taylor. Oh, that's funny. Pronounced Dame Ellen, the first joke, which started on a music
Dame
forum.
Ellen. As a for Dame Ellen.
Oh, yeah, nice. We're going to get to you, Chris. We're going to get to you, Quebecer. Would you say Quebecois? Quebecois that's really tied to the political party, isn't it?
Quebecois. Well, it's an adjective for someone from Quebec, but
yeah,
but you're right. There was a political party called the Parti Québécois.
Yeah,
which
was no, it's not I'd call them all Quebecers now because of that whole situation. Wait, Lisa says she has Wellburns. Went to the U.S. for several years before moving to Quebec. Were they in South Carolina and Georgia? Because I have Wellburns down there. Look at this, all this stuff coming up. I haven't even started the question of the week.
You haven't even started the question of the week.
Debbie says she's got connections through the big tree. Canadian.
Okay.
We all eventually end up in Canada at some point.
And you're all welcome.
I have the misfortune of having this little town that's a part of Ottawa City called Canada. And every time I want to say Canada, I say Canada. Or I say Canada when I want to say Canada.
Is it spelled the same way?
No.
No, it's not. I'm putting it in the chat.
That would be terribly confusing.
It's with
Canada versus Canada. But Canada, isn't Canada supposed to be a phonetic spelling of Canada? Which means village in Anishinaabe.
Anishinaabe?
Yeah, but it's I'm trying to think of the tribe that was here. I think that's the tribe that was here. Yeah, Lisa is in Canada. I'm gonna do the question of the week, people. How about that?
We're going down rabbit holes.
It's not rabbit holes. It's already 11:15. Question of the week is: do you have ancestors from Canada? And that means, do you have people? John Tyner does. Well, kind of. Do we count John Tyner because his
ancestors ended up in Canada? One of his ancestors did.
Yeah, and I'm the immigrant. I've been here almost 24 years. Woo!
Wow.
Or I should go. Woo, 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 woo.
That's right.
So Chris Whitten had Doug McCallum had a comment in, and we don't like showing answers to the question of the week in the comment section because then I don't have the opportunity to upvote it to be the best if I feel like it. But
Right.
Doug McCollum is talking about loyalists that came. And then Chris Whitten, who is the WikiTree in chief, of course, I'm going to show his, even though it was hidden because he was being polite to not do it. But my grandmother was the last of 4 kids and the only one born in the States. They were all from Canada. And I was trying to show this earlier, which you can't see because I'm so small now. There's Chris has very deep roots to the Montbéliard immigration to Nova Scotia, 1749 to 752. And there's a book about it called Terence and Punch. And I'm actually going to talk about it in one of the answers coming up. So that's fun.
Cool.
So, and the other weird thing, not weird, the other interesting thing is I posted the question of the week in some Canadian Facebook groups. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised we only have 35 people in here right now. But I bet you there are going to be a lot of Canadians watching our thing. Hi, Canada.
That's good.
So Jennifer Robbins, London, Ontario, her great grandmother was born there. 100% of them for the last 200 years from Matthew Sullivan. What I really liked about this week's question of the week is that there were so many conversations that happened because people were posting their relatives' names and where they were, and people were making connections. You know how we like to do the whole connection thing.
The connections, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, so Matthew Sullivan says, yeah, I did this. And then Sandy Barron answers, so I've got a Cloutier and a DuPont. And he's also 8th great grandfather to Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Canada's 15th prime minister.
That couple is one of my 8 greats as well.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
My grandmother's maiden name was Cloutier.
So would you include not only the 15th prime minister, but the current one in that comment?
Yeah,
like she didn't.
He's a cousin. Yeah.
She didn't mention him though. She didn't mention the strapping lad that's now our prime minister. 7 out of 8 great grandparents are from French Canadian founder families with a name like Desjardins.
Yes.
Yeah. But Desjardins in Canada is like Smith. My spousal unit is a Desjardins as well as an O'Doherty. And yeah, they're like everywhere. They're like out of the woodwork. Roger Stong, Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. Are you related to Roger Stong, Brian? You should be.
Oh.
Just checking. Janine Barber. And this is the question. My great-great-great-grandmother married in Nova Scotia. Her father was James Boutillier. Did I pronounce that right?
Pretty close. Boutillier.
Boutillier. Okay. That's Janine Barber, migrated from France. And I jumped right in because somebody else says, hey, Janine, my grandfather was James Boutillier. There you go. And so I put up, sounds like a Montbéliard immigrant to Nova Scotia descendant. Because that family has like 60 pages worth of stuff in there. Well, not 60 pages. They're mentioned on quite a few pages.
And you've got a free space page for that?
I do. It's a little free space project that I was working on when I was doing some stuff for Chris, whose family was there. I was there was a big rat's nest that people had combined people. So I went in and cleaned that up. And really fascinating story. I loved it. Loved doing that work. Only briefly on my mother's side. Schwertfeger. How do you say that name?
I would say Schwertfeger.
Look at you speaking German this morning.
Oh, you would be surprised how many languages I was practicing this morning.
Yeah, I heard. And except one you couldn't even read. So
yeah, there's one I couldn't read. But I do have to there's a correction here. Brian suggested that you actually pronounced it correct for Nova Scotia. Boutillier. What I called Boutillier, the way you pronounced it is how it's apparently pronounced.
Boutillier. Okay.
There we go.
Well, thank you, Brian. Somebody needs to take up for me. Somebody does.
But I would claim that
I
originally it was pronounced the way I would have said it. But pronunciations morph. So we're
well,
both right.
you have to put the place where the person lived at the time. So
That's
that's
True.
what
right.
they said at the time. There you go. I like
Yeah.
M. Ross's. No, I'm the immigrant. Yeah, me too. But
Mhm.
my spousal unit has almost 250 years of Canadian roots, that is not my on the French side, the Desjardins side. I would say they have 250 years, but their Irish side,
Mhm.
they were their O'Dohertys came over because of the Troubles,
Mm.
Mhm.
and one of them
Oh.
had to come over, and he was given a pardon or whatever, amnesty, and he went back to live in Ireland again. But yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. I like this. We
Oui.
numerous lines, 1632-ish to present. That's really early. Stanley
Mhm.
Barbaro. Okay, so then I have this weirdo guy wrote all in French.
What?
Look at that.
That's great.
Huh.
Look at all that French. Do you know who wrote it?
No, who?
Chris Ferraiolo.
Oh,
Oh.
Chris.
Look, gotta love Google Translate. He's trying to impress
Yes, I'm
everybody.
pretty sure he wouldn't. Yeah, that's funny.
So he says, "Where can I get some poutine?" Hey, and I'm like, I answer him in French,
Uh-huh.
and then people started slamming poutine. Now, if you don't know what poutine is,
Ah.
poutine is fresh cut fries. They're blanched and then they're cooked like regular fries should be cooked. So they're fresh, and sometimes they have the skin on, and then it's
Mhm.
covered in St. Albert's cheese curds. Some people down in the States don't even know what those are. They're the curds. There's what curdles up when you're making the cheese. So these little crunchy, squishy. They're like
And they
rubbery when you
squeak. They're squeaky.
yeah, squeak. They squeak. That's in this pile, and then they pile gravy on top of that. It is the most heart attackish thing ever invented. It's such good comfort food. So there was a whole battle
Oh yeah.
here about poutine.
Sounds
Oh,
delicious.
so
Yeah,
Danielle
look,
says
mon
it's a
dieu,
recent
poutine
invention.
haters from Inhoon.
Aw,
Look at
oh,
what this
dude.
person did. Talk about putting up some big,
Wow.
Le
Oh,
Duc,
okay.
Laurent
Rangers
Ranger,
and
Cadet,
WikiTree.
Tableau, Girardin. I wonder how close Girardin is to Jardin. It's
Oh,
Girardin. Pillon,
um,
Burnett. That's from Hal Jenner. Lots of loyalists. Do people know what a loyalist was? A
some
loyalist
do.
was
Some.
somebody who was loyal to the British Empire during the American Revolution and either supplied troops or performed some trade for the British. And then after the war, most of them had to leave the US because their property was taken. And they came to Canada, and it is the only hereditary title in Canada is UE, United Empire Loyalists. So that's fun. So people are talking about that. Prescott, Ontario, Nova Scotia. We have lots of answers. And not only do we have answers for us, there's 6 pages. And then here's another great one from M. Hote again, Jess Cheap's Cotiacook, Quebec. But there were also, see, I share that tab set. There were also tons and tons and tons of answers in the Canadian Roots posts that I did. So Bob Tiffin had an answer, Karen, Dennis Worth. And they were, like I said, not only did these people talk about who they were, they made connections with people. So Lisa Sovey and Lori Murphy made connections over there. Here, WikiTree is influencing the world to make connections with other people. That is so cool. So see, Janine Bloom's got some great stuff up from Scotland. Carol Smith Sharnquist has Smith Reed, Van Sickle, Crandall. I love how people just throw out names. It's like, yeah, but they were all loyalists, she says. People who are loyalists are very, very, very excited and proud. as they should be. So here we have people making connections. And I think this was in the Ontario Ancestors group. So I did tell them in that group that I was going to show this specific answer list. And I've made it so you can't see anything else. You can see over to the right that Greg's power was flickering this morning.
Oh. Oops.
Yeah, we sometimes chat before if we're talking about stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. Pat Cottrell, Mark Dennis or Denis. I've got to remember I'm talking. Nelson Fay. I'm Metis Cree. Some ancestors are from Moose Factory in James Bay area. Peter Foy was third great grandfather operated a hotel in Bon Cher. 10th great grandfather was Louis Hebert or Hebert. Is it Hebert or Hebert?
Hebert.
Yeah, Hebert.
Yeah, it goes back in that time for sure. Yeah, he was the first farmer in Quebec, first settler.
Nice. And Zachary Cloutier and Sante Dupont. Now, we had somebody in the WikiTree post who was mentioning them as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Nelson Fay, if you're watching, you need to go to the WikiTree G2G and check that out. Ontario, Manitoba. Somebody actually has a Drummond Hill Cemetery Tour YouTube video that we could watch. Wow. But if I played it, it wouldn't play well because of the thing. But that's about the Morse family. First funeral home in North America. Somebody needs to double check that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a business until the late 60s. Still bears the name of the... That's really cool. And then people just said, yeah, Canadian, yeah.
Yeah. Present.
I'm sorry, but I'm Canadian. Fiercely Canadian. Look at this. Ooh. That's from Sharon Brock Campbell, Shelley Winchell, Lisa, Larissa Spiker. And then there's a whole other group of people. Which one am I on? Yeah, let's go over to this one. Nope, not to that one. Here, this one. So I'm going to share this tab. This is a totally different SIG. And just great. Scotland, Irish Cork County. So that not only they're talking about their Irish roots coming to Canada, they're talking about all of their roots because Canada's a melting pot. I'm so glad that we did see a Métis person because or a First Nations person, but also let me go to this one. Yeah, no, let's go straight over because we don't have time. You know who else has some Canadian roots going on? Roberta Estes does. She does.
Wow.
So she's written some blogs about her Canadian ancestry. She's obviously written a book about North American DNA, being able to research your North American through DNA. But she's also talking about the Acadian 1695 loyalty oath, which affected her Métis and Canadian family. That is where her Native American lines go to, is the Métis, which is fascinating. If you hear Roberta Estes and you hear Native American, you don't really think about her being a part of the Métis, but she is. That's Ghost. The Mi'kmaq. She's out in that area. So she has a really cool post in her blog about the Acadians. The Acadian. I'll put that over here and we can show that. That's the blog post. So there's lots of really incredible answers all the way across the board. I didn't mean to put that one up. There we go. There's the link to Roberta's thing. So I don't think that people realize also how funny Canadians are. Look at the funny people that we have given to the world. You know that, but yeah, everybody has Canadian roots. I've decided. So that's the question of the week.
Yay!
Woo! Good stuff.
Proud to have Canadian roots.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, and I also thought I should do this.
Oh yes, your moose.
Murph Moose. He's got his
Canada. Woohoo! Oh, that's
Murph
great.
Moose. You can't look at those eyes and not be in love with this guy.
Oh, we're hypnotized. Right.
What a personality.
All right.
That's right. Yes, certainly. Yeah. So transitioning to the profiles of the week. Thank you. That was great. All of that on
Whatever
Canada.
that was, it was good.
It was good. It was good. We certainly have lots of Canadian comics. John Candy, the late John Candy, and Mike Myers, and Michael J. Fox, and
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Oh, so many. You know, a lot of the
Kamala
Second City
Harris.
people.
She's not a comedian, but she spent time in Montreal growing up.
It's funny. Just in one of the most recent Ted Lasso episodes, there was a break in their soccer games, and so they played some international matches, and there was a match between Canada and Mexico, and you couldn't see much of the match, but you could sort of hear some of the announcers, and the Canadian announcer, with a very Canadian accent, was at one point, "I'm sorry, oh, that was very rude." It was so hilarious. It was just so stereotypical, but it was funny. Anyways, our profiles of the week are: which member of royalty are you most closely connected to? And of course, this was prompted because just 2 weeks ago, we didn't have Megs on the live cast with us because she was sleeping from a coronation hangover, or getting up too early to watch the coronation. Really, I'm sure she wasn't hungover. She was just sleep deprived. So when King Charles III was officially crowned King of England,
he's my cousin.
He's my cousin too, as it turns out.
No, he's not. How close are you?
How close am I? He is my 17th cousin, 4 times removed.
My 13th cousin.
Ah, he's closer.
His mama was my 11th cousin.
That's close.
It is close.
Wait a second. Yeah. He's your 13th, but his mother was your 11th?
Yep. I'm related to them through the Queen Mother, and also through a couple of different lines.
Right.
Which we're going to find. Mary Stuart is my 5th cousin.
Oh, wow. Really close there. Okay. One of them I have is a 4th cousin, multiple times removed, I think, on mine. But anyways, not Charles. Charles is 17th cousin, 4 times removed. So interesting you're talking about the lines. So when I pop over the Tree apps and open up his fan chart, there's his fan chart right there.
You don't have it in royal colors, though.
I know. I've got it. I've got it by generations, or whatever. Oh,
that purple he was wearing after the coronation was pretty bright.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the interesting thing, because one of the things that you always hear about is how interrelated the royal family is. And one of the features of the fan chart, the default, is that when you have multiple relationships, it color codes it. And so when you go to that 6th generation, there it is right there. You can see this green and brown pair, Franz Satzkoberg and Gunther, who's married to Alexandrina Hanover, more popularly known as Queen Victoria, because Alexandrina was her first name. Victoria was not her very first name. So the fan chart, has to concatenate or shorten it. So you can see that Charles's mother and father both descend from Queen Victoria, which, lots of people knew, but this is sort of visually puts it there. But then you see over here, there's a few other repeaters. And if you go up a few more generations, then you see lots of colored repeats. And so you could explore that.
I like the way you said that, repeaters.
Repeaters, yes. Well, that's what I call them, like in the settings, I call them repeat ancestors, because
I love that you can find endogamy through your charts so easily on WikiTree.
Thank you. Yeah. Well,
has Leia Larkin talked to you about her new tool? I told her to talk to you about being able to visualize.
No,
it.
I haven't.
I showed her this, I think.
Oh, did you? Okay. I'll have to check that out. But Connie Knox just recently in one of her videos popped this up and showed about and was commenting on how much she likes this feature of our fan chart. So that's pretty cool. But I digress. That's not what I wanted to brag about. I just wanted to show the fan chart and the the multiple relationships there.
Yeah, you wanted to show that I had multiple lines into the. I have 18 toes.
So there is a lot. There's a lot of categories attached to King Charles III. I'm not even going to read them all because then we'll for sure go over super late. And his story is one that is probably very familiar with many people on the podcast. So on the live cast. So of course he was born son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, on the 14th of November, 1948, and baptized by the then Archbishop of Canterbury. Not many people, I would imagine, get baptized directly by the Archbishop of Canterbury. So that's probably a pretty small group, pretty impressive. As the eldest son, this interested me. He had the titles of Duke of Cornwall, Duke of Rothesay, Earl of Carrick, Baron of Renfrew, Lord of the Isles, and Prince and Great Steward of Scotland. And then he became Prince of Wales in 58 and invested in 69. So I thought, wow, that's really cool. But where are all these places? Now, people who are from the UK probably know where they all are, but I did not. I could guess where some of them were, but not all. So I made a little Google map that showed all the important things related to King Charles III. And so all these blue points are related to that. So, of course, he was born in London and baptized there. Cornwall is this little part down here in the very bottom corner of the island of Great Britain. Is it the island of Great Britain? British
Isles?
And then the British Isles, yeah. Well, I mean, England, United Kingdom, and Great Britain all mean three different things, right? I think the island itself is Great Britain, right?
Right.
So, anyways,
it's
bottom
Great
corner,
Britain and Scotland.
Great Britain and Scotland, okay. So Cornwall's down there. Rothesay is up here. And in fact, all of these other titles here are related to Scottish, being King of Scotland. So I can't remember which was Rothesay a duchy? Was he the Duke of Rothesay, an Earl of Carrick? Let me just go back here. Duke of Rothesay, Earl of Carrick, and Baron of Renfrew. Okay, so there's Rothesay, there's Carrick, and there's Renfrew. So they're all around sort of that same neighborhood in Scotland, and of course Scotland itself, and then Wales. Now he doesn't have any titles related to Ireland, which is interesting.
He should, because he's the king of Northern Ireland.
Okay,
that should be in his actual title.
Mm-hmm.
John can probably straighten us out on that.
Anyways, I just thought I'd show off those place names that all those titles came from. Now, many of those titles actually transfer to the heir apparent. So those currently the holders of most of those titles are now actually his son, Prince William. But interesting point in the profile. I'm just going to spotlight a few things. Is that his last name was originally Windsor. So if you look up here, you see Windsor, which was the original last name for King Charles when he was born. But when Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip decided in 1960, when he was 2 years old, that all of their heirs would have the last name Mountbatten-Windsor. Mountbatten-Windsor. The Mountbatten.
And that goes back to Prince Philip's uncle, Lord Mountbatten. Right. He wanted the Queen to take the Mountbatten name when she married Prince Philip. Oh yeah, big hullabaloo. Yeah.
Big hullabaloo. But he was his favorite uncle, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think that at that point in time, I think it was his only living relative.
Well, I guess it's not hard to be your favorite if you're the only one. So he was also, Charles was the first one to go to school. not just tutored solely by governess. And he went. Now, many people probably knew that he went to school in Scotland and attended the same school that his father had attended. But he also went to grammar school in Australia. Didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, grammar school would be like
elementary.
Like
elementary, right?
So they sent him all the way to Australia when he was that young?
Geelong Grammar School in Australia. I wonder. Well, so he was 8 when he went to Scotland, that first school, and subsequently grammar school in Australia. And then he got his O levels and A levels, which I'm not exactly sure. I mean, that tells you how well you did in the final exit exams, right?
Right, right.
Is A better than O?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, we need someone.
It's very quiet in the chat too.
Anyways, he then became
Sandy
correspondent.
Paddock says that Prince Philip was stationed in Malta when Charles was young. So did that have?
That might have something to do with it then. Yeah,
let me look at that.
Yeah. He became a jet pilot, which is kind of cool. It's something you don't always associate. Well, I don't always associate with King Charles. But that's kind of cool. Of course, he created many charities, the Prince's Trust being one of them, and then others, a bunch of charities grouped together called the Prince's Charities. There's a Canadian version of that and an Australian version of that. Done lots of stuff. And anyways, this profile is very well done, has lots of details about his life, much of which has been, of course, televised and dramatized and, and whatnot. But you can read up on this and find out lots of cool stuff. Moving on, we have Afonso de Portugal. So one of the other things, which is a very interesting, kind of busy background there, but that's the crest of Portugal, or his family crest. One of the things you can do if you have the WikiTree browser extension is you can turn on reading mode, which hides a bunch of stuff and makes it a lot cleaner. Now, it doesn't hide the background, or at least the default settings don't hide the background, but there might even be a setting to do that, to change that as well. But you see all the stuff that was along the side, the biography, the DNA connections, the images, all these things here, which are interesting. But if you're just focused on the story and want to read that, then by turning on reading mode, it allows you to sort of zoom.
Boo! I say boo on that. Don't get rid of that DNA connections.
Never, no. But if you're not really good at multitasking and you get distracted easily, like someone
Too
here,
shiny.
Too shiny.
Who did you say who might get distracted easily?
Well, I was thinking myself. But, if the shoe fits. Anyways, Afonso was the first king of Portugal. He achieved the independence of the southern part of the kingdom of Galicia, the county of Portugal, from Galicia's overlord, the King of Leon. So I thought, well, those are two places that I've never heard of before. So I checked out a map here, and you should recognize this is sort of the shape of Spain and Portugal down here. And this is the ancient kingdom of Galicia, and next to it, the kingdom of Leon. And if you look closely, you can see there's this here is the area that's called Portugal, or Portucale, according to this. Santiago, Braga, Porto, and here's Lisbon down here. So eventually, Portugal, of course, would extend all on this west coast here. But that's the part there that used to be Galicia and Leon, but thanks to Alfonso, it became Portugal.
See, you not only get a good talking to, you get to learn geography and history.
I just looked at my connection, and I was to Alfonso, and it's a
Yeah.
high number 27, but it's all green. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
direct shot.
So, like, yeah, he's one of your greats then, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he's my direct grandfather, my 29th great grandfather, apparently.
Wow.
It says, yeah, my 26th great grandfather.
There you go.
So
Wow.
that's super cool.
That is wild, isn't it? Okay, so
Yeah.
let's see. Through my mother's father's line. Where French. Fernando Alfonso Castilla. Okay. So it's all French up until we get to 1200. Turns into Portuguese, it looks like. Wow. That's wild.
And notice that we now have CC7 for notables.
Yes.
So you can see
Yes,
that
look at that.
6,597 connections.
Wow.
Yeah.
Katie Miller says King Charles spent 6 months at the Timbertop campus of Geelong Grammar School in Victoria, Australia, towards the end of high school.
So it's all years. It's not just the elementary.
Yeah. There
That's
you
interesting.
go.
I would have guessed it was elementary. Grammar school, I would have just thought that was elementary, but
I love our WikiTreeers out doing research for us. And Lisa says he was 17 at the time. And then
there we go.
More from North Wales here, grammar school, type of secondary school. People are trying to educate us.
Educate us. Okay. Always ordinary. Okay. Cool. Very cool. Anyways, Alfonso, yeah.
Sorry, Sorry.
No problem. You can read all the details about how Alfonso secured became the first king of Portugal. It was a little interesting because is this right? His mother remarried after his father died when he was very young, like just 3 years old, I think. Yeah. And then his mother remarried a powerful count in Galicia, and he ended up fighting the count's army and then banished the count and his mother when he was setting up the country. So very interesting. But he also had support of the Catholic Church and the Pope. And there was some politics going there because there was competing cardinal or, competitor to the Pope that he was. So there was so much politics back then. But anyways, there we go. Afonso de Portugal. And then we have the Canadian connection, who would have been a great aunt of our King Charles. Louise Caroline Alberta Saxon-Coburg-Gotha Argyll, who is the daughter of Queen Victoria, Alexandrina Victoria Hanover.
14th cousin.
She's one. What's that?
14th cousin.
16th cousin here, yeah. So yeah, she was one of the daughters of Queen Victoria, one of many. You can see she's actually the youngest, the baby in the family. And her Royal Highness, the Princess Louise Caroline Alberta, Marchioness of Lorne, was the fourth daughter of Queen Victoria and the wife of Marquess of Lorne, the fourth Governor General of Canada. So the Governor General in Canada is the person who basically takes the place of the monarch. So Canada is a constitutional monarchy, which means that officially the king or queen at the time is the head of our government. So but because they don't live here all the time, they have a representative, which we call the Governor General. But the Governor General generally just sort of signs documents and rubber stamps things. There's not a lot that they do except for officially opening and closing Parliament and calling elections and things like that. So they don't get in the way of government generally, but it's an important role. So the princess's husband was the Governor General of Canada at one time, 78 to 83. And so she did live in Canada. And the province of Alberta is named after her because that's one of her middle names. And her Lake Louise, which is a lovely lake in the middle of Alberta, it was also named after her.
It's a very picturesque lake.
Yes, beautiful. It's one of the most, well, I mean, there's lots of beautiful places in Canada, but that's definitely up near the top of it. This is interesting. She was one of the first snowbirds. So again, for those who don't know, a snowbird is what we call Canadians who leave Canada in the winter because it's too cold for them. And so they go somewhere south, often Florida or somewhere, I don't know, North Carolina. Arizona. Yeah. So that's what we call snowbird. So she was one of the first ones to escape the harsh winter climate. She wintered in Bermuda, not a bad place. And then her visit began the trend for wealthy North Americans to escape to the relatively mild climate of Bermuda in the winter months. A hotel was even built in her name, the Fairmont Hamilton Princess. Anyways, she passed away in London, England. And there you go. There's your
London,
Canadian
Ontario,
moment.
or London, England?
London, England. Yes, Kensington, London, England. And buried in the Royal Burial Ground in Windsor. Okay, so here we have the Empress Yisho. The Yisho was served as a consort. She was born 1835, and at age 13, she was matched with the Crown Prince Osahito. And when he became emperor, he named her Nyogo, which is a consort position of high honor, to which princesses of the blood were appointed after the time of the Emperor Kamu. After Osahito's death, Emperor Meiji conferred upon her the title of Empress Dowager. So there's more details. So I'm guessing
we need Sarah here today to help us.
We need her to pronounce them, but I think those are just other ways of pronouncing her first name, Asako or Isho. But there is a larger Wikipedia article about her. And so she was matched with the Crown Prince, as the WikiTree article says. But she did have two daughters, but they both died in infancy. But she did raise the heir to the throne, and because she raised him like a mother, that's why he was so attached to her and conferred upon her the title of Empress Dowager. And she was well loved as well. There was even a poem written about her or connected with her: "Purple wisteria over a deep pool." So she was well respected there. Then we have Farouk Alawiya, or for his full name, Farouk bin Ahmed Fuad bin Ismail bin Ibrahim bin Muhammad Ali bin Ibrahim Aga, who was the...
Yeah, really.
I've been practicing, and hopefully I got most of those pronounced correctly.
Well done.
Born in 1920 in Cairo, and died in 1965 at the young age of 45 in the San Camillo Hospital in Rome. He was the 10th and final ruler, or penultimate king king of Egypt and the Sudan. And just in case you're not sure how those two nations are connected, there's Egypt in green, of course, right at the top right corner of Africa, and Sudan is the area underneath it. So I don't know how much of that orange area of the Sudan was under their rule at the time, but that's the area we're talking about. I'm guessing it looks like it's probably most of the stuff that's fed by the Nile, but I
always like those jokes.
Are you in denial?
You're acting like a long river. No, your closest was Louise Argyle, and I didn't even mention that.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, many of them are very far away to me this time.
20 degrees.
Yeah. So his full title was His Majesty Farouk I, by the grace of God, King of Egypt and the Sudan. So he was known for an extravagant playboy lifestyle, And while initially popular, his reputation eroded due to the corruption and incompetence of his government, which is sad. He was overthrown in the 1952 coup d'etat and forced to abdicate in favor of his infant son, Ahmed Fuad, who succeeded him as Fuad II.
It's pretty bad when you're such a bad ruler that they want a 1-year-old to run the country.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty bad. Yeah. He's still crapping his pants, but he's going to be a better ruler than you. Sorry, that was rude.
It was horribly rude. See how Canadian we are this morning? We apologize, people.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
You're as red as my shirt now.
I know. There's your another Canadian content. Okay, let's move on.
Go ahead, move on.
Okay. Oh my, yes.
Nothing to see here or smell.
So our next profile, Queen of Hawaii.
This is amazingly one of Betsy's closest. She's the closest to Mary Queen of Scots, but say the name, and I'm not going to say the name.
Okay. Liliulu Loluku Walania Kamakaea Liliauokalani. Liliauokalani. There we go. That's the name. So Liliauokalani is the daughter of Keasera Kaluaiku Kamaka Ehuaki Kahana Keola Kapa Akea and
it's through your mother.
Analea Keo Hokaleo Keo Hokalaule Lole. That's a lot of vowels. That's a lot of vowels.
A lot of L's and a lot of vowels.
You know, we only come on Saturday mornings to hear you pronounce people's names. That's the only reason we come here.
And I try so hard. Liliuokalani was the sovereign and only queen regnant of the Kingdom of Hawaii. She succeeded her brother, who was forced to sign the Bayonet Constitution. So there's got to be something not quite legal about being forced to sign something at gunpoint. And sadly, that's transferred the right to vote to only those who own property. So basically transferring power from the Hawaiian people and the monarchy to the plantation owners and the wealthy businessmen. Like, that's just crappy. Sorry, there's that word again. But anyways, but Liliuokalani tried to reverse this imbalance, and then the businessmen deposed her. She was put under house arrest for trying to stage an insurrection to restore the monarchy, and she agreed to officially abdicate the throne in exchange for pardons for the insurrectionists. So basically, all the other people who were helping her out, as long as they can be pardoned, then I will abdicate, is what she did. So she worked ceaselessly to keep Hawaii independent, but eventually it did become an American territory and then a state. President William McKinley annexed the territory in 1898. So that's her royal claim to fame. But she was also, you might be interested to know, also a talented musician and a composer. And one of her songs, Aloha Oi, which is known in English as the Farewell to Thee, has been covered by many greats, including Bing Crosby, Elvis, Johnny Cash. And if you go on YouTube, you will see lots of different people have done different versions of it. So there's a piano version here. I'm not going to play it because I don't want us to get taken down for copyright infringement and stuff. But you just search for Aloha Oi, you'll see that it's ascribed to Queen Liliuokalani. And
I think you could play 3 seconds of it and it would be safe, but that wouldn't really be enough to get a sense of
yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool about her.
It's through your mom, Betsy. Through your mom to her husband.
To her, yeah, John Dominus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Then we have Mary, Queen of Scots.
She's my closest.
She's your closest. She's my 7th cousin. 16
She's my 5th cousin.
Wow. And we've talked about Mary, Queen of Scots before.
She's also my
So,
17th great grandmother and my 18th great grandmother.
Ooh, double dipping
Yeah, I
there.
told you there were several different ways you could get to.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Look at how many connections she has. 27,115.
Ooh.
Wow.
Lisa's
Yeah.
got her too.
Yeah. Yeah. So now if we
My
go back to,
uncle's wife is her direct descendant.
yeah,
Ooh.
Betsy, you're going to have to do a little more work here because Lily Okulani only has 721 connections.
I know. I did
Come on.
notice that. Yeah. Well, we'll work on it.
But look, she's got lots of sisters, or lots of siblings. No
No
children.
children that are known of.
Oh, it doesn't actually comment about children in her biography here.
Probably.
So you're back at okay, good. Because I'm like, yeah, Mary had some kids. He became king.
Look at Mary. Yeah, look over here. So I did not realize that she had so many siblings. Look how many siblings she had between James. There's 12 in that family.
Wow.
And then she herself was married 3 times. But did she only have the one son? James of Scotland?
And he was James the sixth, Scotland.
6th of Scotland and 1st of England.
And Scotland, France, and Ireland.
Oh, yeah, there we go. France and Ireland. Interesting. We've talked a lot about the
reason we have the Irish plantations too, right?
Ah, right. I think
that's why the barons had to leave Ireland.
Okay. I'm going to move on though to.
Please do.
No problem. Asfen Rahimahala Tengu Ampuan Haja Avzan. Binti Haran Tengu Pangalima Parang Tengu Muhammad.
Was Mary Stuart too easy to pronounce? Is that why we're moving on?
We're moving. Well, we talked about Mary Stuart before, so you can refer back to previous live casts. But we have not talked about Avzan before. So this is a really, I really like this profile because it gives you some information about the naming convention right at the very beginning of it, which is I find very interesting. So she's from Malaysia or Malay, British Malaya, as it was called in the time. And in Malay, there is no family name. So the name Tengu Pangalima Parang Tengu Muhammad is a patronymic. So from the lineage, right? And Binti, the part at the beginning here, see Binti means daughter of. So Afsan Rahimahala.
If somebody's tuning in right now, they're going to think they're at the wrong place.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they'll know that they're the right place because I'm still going on and on about profiles and we haven't even got to Betsy yet. So that part will be consistent. But then Hajjah is an honorific title which is given to a Muslim person who's completed the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. And then when she married the crown prince, she received the title of the Tengu Puan of Pahang. And when her husband ascended to the throne, that title was replaced by a different title, Tengu Ampuan. And then when then the titles changed depending on her position or her husband's position. And you can hear her name pronounced here. I'm not going to go there now because I want to keep on moving. But anyway, she was born in 32. Well, we could go there. Let's try that. Let's just see what happens.
See how good you are.
Let's see how good oh no.
Turn your volume way up.
Hajjah Afzan binti Tengku Muhammad.
Sounds very computerized. You
are
much better. You are much better.
Oh, thank you. That's the right answer. Okay, so there we go. That's Afsan. Then we have Stanislav Antoni Poniatowski, who was the King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania. His full title, Stanislaus August, by the grace of God and the will of the people, King of Poland, Grand Duke of Lithuania, Duke of Ruthenia, Brasha, Masovia, Samagutia, Kiev, Volhynia, Podolia, Podlasie, Livonia, Smolensk, Severia, and Cherniv.
12th cousin.
14th.
17th great grandfathers in 2 different ways.
So yeah, he was the last monarch of the United Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and remains a controversial figure in Polish history. He was a great patron of the arts and the sciences, an initiator and firm supporter of progressive reforms, also remembered as the king of the Commonwealth, whose election was marred by Russian intervention. Isn't that interesting?
Started early,
Back
did it?
then. It started early. And he's criticized primarily for his failure to stand against the partitions and thus to prevent the destruction of the Polish state. Very sad. Sorry, Stanislav. And then we have Dame Te Atarangiakahu Te Arikinui Queen Te Atarangiku. Okay. And she's from the Maori. Born in Wahipa in the Rahuipokeka in the Waikato area of Aotearoa, New Zealand. I think the first part is the Maori word for New Zealand or for that area, dash New Zealand. So she was born Pikamine Koroki Mahuta was her birth name, and from birth she was known as Piki. So that was basically the name that she grew up with. Born at Wahipa on the Waikato River. An occasion that was said to have been marked by a shooting star. So I think that's kind of cool. And then her parents were Kuroki Mahuta of the Nagati Mahuta and Nagati Kuroki, who was the 5th Maori king, and his wife Te Atarangaku Harangi of the Nagati Apakura and the Nagati Maniapoto. So her father, and Nagati is basically the these are tribes, basically, or clans. What's really neat about this profile is that they show there's a glossary of the vocabulary of the terms that are used right at the bottom. So it sort of translates. So all these terms. So Pa means a village or a defensive settlement. Nagati means the offspring of, and is used to refer to groups of people. Often the beginning of the names of the iwi. The iwi are the tribes. So those are the sort of the tribes.
Nice that they did that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I thought that was really, really very nice. So this is a wonderful profile. Really well done.
Chase. I'm surprised that it doesn't have the note. Oh, it does have.
It doesn't have.
It's got the notable sticker on
it.
Sticker.
Yeah. Notable there. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a wonderful profile and goes through a lot of details of her life. Well, then the interesting thing is that when she became queen, and the queen is elected, it's not hereditary. So when her father passed away, they basically gathered and then they elected the queen, and she was the one who was elected, and she took on her mother's name, the Te Atarangi Kahu. But an interesting anecdote that they have here, I like, when Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh were visited New Zealand in the 30th of December 53. So just shortly after she was became Queen Elizabeth and Duke of Edinburgh, where they were doing a tour of the empire, and they came to New Zealand. They had certain spots that they were allowed to go to, and they stopped outside of the area where she lived. But the princess, she was a princess at the time. Her father was still king of Maori at the time, so she was the princess. She invited the queen in, and they went in and met and into her house, which wasn't on the tour, which wasn't part of the official thing, but I thought that was neat. And then later, the queen in 1970, she was given an award by the Queen, or an honor. Here it is. She was made a Dame of the British Empire, and she was the first Maori woman to be made a Dame of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth herself.
Nice.
So I thought that was very impressive. And the last profile is Valdemar den Store, King of Denmark. And it was interesting. He was a co-ruler. So initially he was part of
cousin.
What?
First cousin. First cousin. He's also several great grandfathers too. First cousin.
Not that you're competitive or anything.
No.
Fourth cousin, that's my closest in the cousinship. Anyways,
I gotta look at that.
So he was co-ruler with Svengrata and Canute V of Denmark. But it was not a friendly triumvirate, because Svengrata killed Canute at a battle of Blodgilta in Roskilde. And Valdemar was injured, but he escaped. And then soon Valdemar fought and defeated Sven in the Battle of Grotahede. So he basically outlived his co-rulers and became the sole ruler, king of Denmark, for 25 years until his death. And there's more on the profile here, but anyways, I thought that it's an interesting beginning to his reign. And,
I like that the connection information tells you, like, if I go to the relationship to me, I can see the relationship, but it tells me also at the bottom that there are 8 other ways that I'm related to him.
Yeah.
And I can click on that and I can see them. That's craziness. That
Yeah.
cool.
That's a wonderful feature.
It is, yeah. It's very cool. Very cool. Okay. I am done. I'm done pronouncing all those names.
Tough names to pronounce this morning.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Well, I think I messed up the Maori one at the end. Sorry.
You're fired.
I'm fired. Yeah, that's right.
I love seeing the diversity. I mean,
that is really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I do.
When we went from Canada to the Maori.
Yeah.
So we got some pictures.
Good.
We are still looking at children. And I have the perfect picture to put up. And I thought I had it digitized, but I don't. So I'll have mine up next week. Let me make this a little bigger.
Oh, Donna.
Yes, Donna Bauman. This is my brother in the early 70s. And she says she's pretty sure one of her relatives crocheted or knitted her headband, which is gorgeous. And the sweat. Nice. Not sure who. I love the expression on our brother's face. He's so cute.
Yes.
And then here, Hannelore Gisela Grabau. I hope I'm saying that right. 2 years old, December 1936. Dieters.
Yeah,
Dieters.
That's cute.
Yeah.
John Tyner gave you some props there, Greg.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Now, I think this is super cool. This is a family tree of the family on bikes.
That's fun.
The primary
photo. That is very cool.
Yeah. Here, let me do that. So the one on the left is Eric's grandfather on a tricycle, circa 1918 in Chicago.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The only known surviving photo from his childhood. And then the accompanying photos on the right show a family tree of his children and grandchildren, also on tricycles or other riding toys.
Still a kid.
Oh, look, is that Curious George there? Yeah, with grandson Eric.
It looks like it, yeah.
He's a riding companion.
Yeah. Curious George was big back then, for sure.
It's great. What a creative idea.
I like that, Eric.
That is very cool.
And then Susie Carta posted this one. These cute little girls are my Aunt Chicky and my mother Margie. They were born 11 months apart in January and December.
Tell me how they're related again.
It's their sisters. Well, she says aunt in quotations.
Oh,
my Auntie Chicky and my mother Margie.
How cute. That's
I know.
that's like my brother and I are very similar in age.
So born in January and December, they could have gone to school together in the same grade.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Oh, and I do have a PS from Alexis back to this photo.
Okay.
Remember, we wondered if these two little boys were twins.
Yes.
Alexis confirmed that they were not twins, and that Delamay had 11 healthy home births of all the children. So they're
Wow.
No 2-for-1s. 11 kids and
no twofers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and let's see. I can't remember if there were any that were on the Delamay and the little girl in her ballroom dress. There's Donna and Dieter's mother.
Nice.
That is a gorgeous picture. I love the bicycles.
I know. And the bicycle. And they're sisters. Gloria and so Gloria was nicknamed Chicky.
Chicky. I'm sure there's a story behind that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it for this week. The month, there's still 10 more days to the month.
Do you have a tip for today?
I do. So we had a request.
Yeah.
On the comments from the video last week for help with DNA and very basic things. So I'm so glad you're here, Max, because you're the DNA expert. But I'm gonna talk about today about how to use GEDmatch to look at your WikiTree connection.
Do it.
Yeah. And could one of you just put the DNA, like how to upload your DNA to WikiTree help page?
I would, but you can't upload your DNA to WikiTree.
Right. True. That is very true. You need to upload it. Thank you. See, I knew you'd save me, Mags. You have to upload your DNA to a third-party site, like GEDmatch, which is also a free website. So what I'm showing here is presupposing that you have done that step. So here in my profile, you can see I've done both autosomal and mitochondrial, and you can see here I match 100% with myself. Ancestry DNA, there's my GEDmatch number, my ancestry profile ID. It also shows that I did mitochondrial DNA, my kit number. I uploaded it to mito DNA and my haplogroup. But what we're going to do here is we're going to click on that. And I've got to log in to GEDmatch. Okay, I think I need to
go back to your WikiTree.
Go back and now do that.
All you have to do is log in.
Right.
Whether it's MitoYDNA or to GEDmatch.
Now, Max, I gotta have this question. So I was watching Peter Roberts' videos, and he was very clear, like to change this number to 1,000, and it really does seem to make a difference.
Yeah, it does.
What is this number?
That's how many people matches it'll show you on a page, I believe.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to
Mm.
definitely do that. Change that to 1,000. I'm going to submit. Now this is going to give me all my matches on
But you
GEDmatch.
can't show that on this screen. You can't show your matches here.
Oh
privacy.
no.
Yeah, don't
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
you have to respect people's privacy.
Of course. Okay. All right. Well,
So you can see all the matches. There you go.
yeah, you can see all the matches,
You
but
pretend.
what is cool is as you look all right, I'm just gonna stop screen sharing and I'll come back. You'll see a table and there are filters at the top of every column. And so there's a column where you'll see if people have a WikiTree profile. You can filter on that column, double click on it so that it's in reverse alphabetical order, and you'll see Wiki for WikiTree.
Right.
And then if there's somebody who's your match, you can click on their WikiTree profile and it'll take you to their 8th generation.
Yeah, you click on the wiki little word wiki, it's a hyperlink, so it'll take you over back to. Sorry to throw that at you at the last second. That's sometimes you don't even think about it, but yeah, we have to respect privacy.
Absolutely, yeah. What would be good, I can put in the comments for this week's video, is Peter Roberts' video link.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a short video. It's like 2.5 minutes, and it shows how to do it.
What are you up to, Greg? Are you trying to find something?
Well, I'm just going to, if I share my screen again.
Yeah, go for it.
You can see.
There you go.
What?
Right.
He privatized it by moving it over.
I've hidden the other parts that has the information.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Yeah.
Now, if
so
I'm
you
just
see,
bigger.
yeah. You see the WikiTree links.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now if I click this WikiTree link, it'll go to a WikiTree, which we can see, right?
Public. Right. That is public.
So if I click on this, that's going to take me to.
And you can show that page.
Uh-huh.
So A. Tiberg, who I don't know.
Go.
I don't know this cousin.
That was very good. I knew you were up to something, Greg. Thank you for doing that.
You knew I was up to something, dude. Okay. And if I open up A and see relationship to 24th cousins, we must be connected closer than that. Wouldn't you think?
You know, one thing that I was thinking on GEDmatch is I wish that the centimorgans in common were more prominent.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more prominent. You used to be able to see that better, but when they changed over to the new system, they redesigned that. Yeah, I agree with the GUI isn't as gooey as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at this person here. I just clicked on the first link, right? And we only share 30.6 centimorgans. And considering that person had a French last name, and I've got a whole pile of French Canadian or French speaking Canada ancestors, we could go back a fair bit, or we just may not have built out those branches where we overlap. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can do, you can see your one-to-many matches on GEDmatch for autosomal, and then you can switch it over and look at mitochondrial. Right.
Nice.
Right.
Because everybody has, male or female, everybody has some X DNA.
Nice.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Betsy.
Yeah.
That was good. And if you want to see your DNA on WikiTree to see what you've got, you can go up to your WikiTree, like Golden 7 would be my WikiTree, and just scroll down. I think it's the third or the fourth one down, DNA, click on that. And then there's some further tabs on that page. You can click DNA tests and see what tests you have or haven't identified for WikiTree. So that's another good little bit to know. We've got some things happening. Let me add myself to the stream here. Got some things happening. Oh yeah, we got the highlights that came up. For Peter and I did a thing. It was a lot of fun, and I have to say that doing the WikiTree challenge quadrupled the amount of kits that we had added for the month. So the Mitawai DNA team doesn't even know that yet, but it really, and we doubled the amount of users that were added to Mitawai DNA. So it was really helpful for us to take part in that challenge at Mitawai DNA. It was a lot of fun. So, and Peter led it for us. He was so great. So that's coming up. The CC7s for Notables just went live last night. That was May the 13th. So you can check CC Notables. There's actually a little button on the profile for that. You can see the WikiTree challenge coming up is challenge number 9. It's open for the Hispanic Historical and Research Society. And what's happening around WikiTree for May? We'll get to next month, John Tyner. We'll get to next month's stuff probably next week, next Saturday. But you got some stuff still coming up the rest of this week. The German Stammtisch. It's a meetup of German-speaking WikiTreeers. I'm so glad that I have the WikiTree extension turned on, or I wouldn't know what that was. The WikiTree Tours browser coming up tomorrow. Monday. The WikiTree Challenge, the Society of Hispanic. Got bingo night coming up with Sandy Paddock with the honor of metal and astronauts on WikiTree. But that isn't G2G astronauts, but it could be. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Black Heritage 5th U.S. Colored Infantry Sprint, the 26th and 29th, and then May the 27th. We'll be back for the roundup, and we'll be talking about things to come next month. Also want to jump over real quick to Az and Sandy Paddock updated our social links. So if you want to share some of the social information, this is a part of the social media page on WikiTree for the social media team. I'll throw that into. Oops, that was wrong. So, oh no!
What?
I've lost it. Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say you're not sharing that screen.
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
How did I lose that? Oh, here we go. Oh no, there we go. Is it back?
Not yet. There we go. Yes.
There it is.
Woo! Gee willikers. Yeah, Sandy could be G2G astronaut. So we've got the WikiTree tours coming up and some other stuff coming up. You can go to the social media page of the Ambassadors Project and share some of this information. Give some shout outs for your social media contacts and stuff like that. So that's a good thing to know. Thank you, Sandy. And otherwise, oh my goodness, I think this is the longest one we have ever done.
We got carried away.
No, we didn't.
There were too many vowels in some of those names. That just took
Greg's
so
the
long.
only one who got carried away. And we love Greg. If Greg didn't get carried away, we would lose our million viewers a week. They only come to see Greg mess up those names. So
Yeah,
we appreciate you coming by. If you're watching our recorded version of this or the real live version, we enjoy having you here every Saturday morning. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Like us, upvote us, and we will see you next week. Let me chat amongst yourselves for half a second.
Yeah.